So Caitlin Clark is a hell of a player. But to say Caitlin Clark was not a flawed player is just wrong in my opinion.
Caitlin Clark just sent shockwaves through the WNBA, not just with her step-back threes, but with her incredible body transformation. She's stronger, more built, and ready to dominate defenders. How did this happen, and what does it mean for the league? Let's break it down.
Like, every time you're seeing Caitlin Clark out, it's like, okay, she's not as skinny as she was. And this is someone who, like, that's something that she really needs to, that's something she really needs to do.
Remember last season? Clark was getting pushed around like she was made of paper. It was tough to watch. Defenders were locking her up, and it looked like she might struggle in the WNBA. But she wasn't about to let that happen.
So Caitlin Clark in college was not the strongest player in the world. Like, she was somebody that wasn't weak by any means, but we saw when it came to the WNBA that she wasn't able to really assert herself physically.
Clark's rookie season was a trial by fire. She wasn't just facing any defenders. She was going up against some of the toughest in the league. And to make things even harder, her first few games were against elite defensive players. Fresh out of college, she had to learn fast.
In fairness, her first game matchup was a tough one because her first matchup was against Dijonais. Second matchup was against Benijah Laney-Hamilton. Third matchup against Benijah Laney again. Fourth matchup against Dijonais again. So we're looking at the team that has their first 4 games against the freaking Sun and someone for the toughest defenders. And from that point on, it did seem like she was basically that she wasn't physically up to being a top guard.
But here's where things get interesting. Clark hit the gym hard this offseason. She knew she needed to get stronger, and she put in the work. And trust me, the results are going to blow your mind.
She has gotten significantly bigger. Stephanie White has confirmed it. Stephanie White has gone out here and confirmed that Caitlin Clark has been bulking up. Like, that she's bulked up as a player and that she's no longer, like, skinny and weak.
Clark didn't just lift a few weights. She went all in. Her arms are looking like tree trunks now. This isn't just about looking stronger. Her coach, Stephanie White, says Clark's strength has reached a whole new level.
Is like, one, is Caitlin Clark stronger, or do you expect her to get stronger? And two, like, what's realistic, like, in terms of from a great first year to now second year in the league where, you know, it's not as new anymore, right? And you sort of know how the league plays, if nothing else.
Yes, she is stronger, first and foremost. And again, she's got a lot of self-awareness. And, she figured that out, right away. Like, I need to get stronger. I can't get knocked around as much.
And you know what that means? Clark isn't getting pushed around anymore. Those defenders who used to bully her, now they're in for a surprise. When she drives to the basket, she's the one doing the pushing.
Not that she was, like, too weak to be in the W, but, like, she was too weak to be, like, an imposing presence in the W like she was in college, because she could be physically dominated. And then, obviously, we have seen throughout the offseason, we have seen, like, some of the transformation.
Just how skinny was Clark before? Let's put it this way. People were calling her too thin for the WNBA. In college, skill alone was enough. But in the pros, you need strength. And now, Clark is finally
done a great job of getting in the weight room and really focusing on her areas that she needs to focus on in terms of strength, in terms of, low center of gravity, time under tension, like all of those things. I think the next step is efficiency, right? Like, not so many turnovers.
Her game isn't just about three-pointers anymore. With her new strength, she can post up defenders, back them down, and either score or pass to an open teammate. This adds a whole new dimension to her game.
I genuinely think that Caitlin Clark had quite a lot of flaws, but so is still, even with flaws, she was that good that if she can figure out those flaws, she's going to be the best player ever. That's the reality of the situation. And one of them was that she was very skinny.
And this transformation isn't just for the season. Clark is thinking long-term. This kind of dedication turns good players into legends. She's setting herself up to dominate for years to come.
When it comes to Caitlin Clark, it's one of those things where as good as she is, there are weaknesses, and it's clear to Stephanie White, who basically game one had the blueprint for how to beat Caitlin Clark.
But can she actually use this new strength? Absolutely. Clark's not just stronger, her entire game has changed. She's added new moves that are going to leave defenders completely confused.
Still, Stephanie White knows what she's talking about, and confirming Caitlin Clark is stronger is going to help a lot, because we saw after Olympic break when Caitlin Clark got stronger that she was posting up guards. Like, she doesn't have very many post moves, but that double bang with her left shoulder into the turnaround layup floater thingies off the backboard, it worked really well. And like, we saw her taking some bigger guards in the post.
Remember how Clark used to rely on speed and shooting? That's still there, but now she's got power moves too. Smaller defenders who used to give her trouble, they're in for a rude awakening.
If she's able to play a little bit in the post and able to shoot over people, that it becomes really difficult to put, for example, to put somebody like a Jordan Canada on her.
Clark has been working on her post game, and it's paying off. She's backing down defenders, using her strength to create space and scoring with ease. That's a weapon she didn't have before.
Yeah, so she's going to have that in her arsenal, and it's going to make her harder to defend. It's going to make her way, way harder to defend, because, if you can't bully her, it means that the Dijonais hand check through three-quarter court isn't going to be allowed.
And it's not just about posting up. When she drives to the basket, defenders aren't knocking her off course anymore. She's finishing through contact and making tough layups look easy, something she struggled with last season.
She was a lot skinnier when she was working out with, when she was in Iowa. And like, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, where I'm like, there is nobody that's like, there's no one that wants Kate to get better in the W. I'm not, to say no one is maybe gassing it, but there may not be anyone that wants to get better more than Caitlin Clark. And I mean that. There may not be a single person that wants to get better more than her.
Clark's strength is also helping her passing game. She's holding off defenders longer, creating passing lanes, and setting up teammates for easy buckets. She's becoming an even bigger playmaking threat.
If you want to see how much she's bulked up, she has really, really bulked up this last year. And if you've seen a lot of guards, especially with the way they come in the WNBA, it does take them a while to physically get used to it.
Is all this really going to make a difference? Experts sure think so. Some are predicting she could average a double-double in points and assists, numbers you only see from all-time greats.
I think that, with Caitlin Clark, that's a really, really important thing. You can do it gradually. And I don't think she bulked up like a crazy amount. Like, she's not going to be physically destroying people. I just don't think she's going to quite get bullied as much as she did.
And Clark's not stopping there. She's improving every part of her game, finishing with her left hand, working on mid-range shots, even adding a floater. She's turning into a complete player.
Like, there was a couple of times you could see her arms, you're like, okay, she's gotten a lot bigger. And I do like the fact that by the end of the season, she was taking people in the post a little bit more. And that's the one thing I like with Caitlin Clark, is that not that she's got good post footwork, but she's got a good ability to kind of like bump with her left shoulder and then shoot over her right. That kind of layup hook shot.
And here's the scary part. This is just the beginning. Clark is only in her second season, and she's already making these kinds of improvements. Imagine what she'll be like in a few years. We could be witnessing greatness in the making.
And here's the scary part for the rest of the league. This is just the beginning. Clark's only in her second season and she's already making these kinds of improvements. Can you imagine what she'll be like in a few years? We could be looking at a player who's not just great, but historically great.
So how worried should the rest of the league be? Well, let's just say opposing coaches are losing sleep. Some experts think Clark could be the second favorite for MVP in just her second year. That's not normal.
And I do think on the defensive end, it allows her to guard small forwards. And that's extremely important, because Caitlin Clark is bad going around screens. Like, she is. And I do think when it comes to that, I think it gets better with Stephanie White.
Clark was already a scoring machine, but now she's added strength to her finesse. It's like giving a Ferrari a rocket booster. The defenders who used to push her around, now she's the one doing the bullying.
So Caitlin Clark is somebody that is going to probably, she's going to, I would say, be, in my opinion, the second favorite for MVP. I think she is going to be the second favorite for MVP in the WNBA. That is how confident I am in Caitlin Clark's year 2.
And it's not just her offense that's improved. Clark's strength is making her a better defender too. She's fighting through screens, holding her ground, and making it much harder for teams to target her.
Caitlin Clark was unbelievably skinny. And that was a problem. Even to start her WNBA career, Caitlin Clark was incredibly skinny. And she was getting bullied. She was genuinely out there, especially in her first couple of weeks in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark was getting bullied. And she genuinely, she was getting bigger and bigger as the season came on, as far as her muscle size was concerned.
Can she really dominate right away? Experts think so. Some predict she could average 25 points and 15 assists per game. Historic numbers. Her scoring might even go down a bit, but her assists are set to skyrocket because defenses will have to collapse on her.
The annoying thing is, it's hard to find pictures on the court that will show this, but you can see her. This is her in July. How much bigger her arms have gotten. This is later on in the season. It's not like Caitlin Clark's not still skinny, but she very much bulked up. And she was in the gym, in the weight room constantly.
Even if her scoring drops slightly, Clark's new strength will change how she scores. She's not just shooting threes. Now she can post up, back down smaller defenders, and finish through contact like never before.
I think it's an inevitability that Caitlin Clark is the first player to ever average a double-double in the WNBA with points and assists. I think she's going to likely set the record for assists per game in a season at some stage in her career.
And here's something that'll make a huge difference. Fouls. Last year, when she was skinnier, refs let a lot of contact slide. But now, with her added strength, those fouls are going to be much more obvious. That means more free throws. And we all know Clark doesn't miss many of those.
I think it's going to be a situation where maybe she's not the best player in the world straight away. Maybe she's not the best player in the world by game 10, but we can't forget last year that she just got better and better and better. If there's a scenario where, I don't think it's far-fetched to say Caitlin Clark could average 23 and 10 next year.
But the scariest part for the rest of the league, Clark's just getting started. She's only in her second year and already making massive improvements. Imagine what she'll be like in a few more seasons. We could be looking at a historically great player. Because
the goal is not for Caitlin Clark to be, realistically shouldn't be for her, to be the best player in the world tomorrow. The goal should be to be the greatest player of all time. And to be the greatest of all time, you don't have to be the best player in the world next year.
Clark isn't just changing her game. She's reshaping the entire WNBA. This isn't just about getting stronger for herself. She's setting a new standard. Every player in the league is getting the message. Get stronger or get left behind.
The goal should be to fully cement yourself in that conversation next year. And then by year 3, make it so that the only argument against her being the best player in the world is A'ja Wilson herself. And then by year 4 or 5, when Juju starts to come into the league, when Juju comes in, when Hidalgo come in, people are like, oh, these are the comparisons. I mean, no one's going to have those comparisons if at that stage Caitlin Clark is coming off an MVP season and a title and is the best player in the league.
So what does this mean for the upcoming season? We're in for something special. Clark is projected to average a double-double, and that's MVP level play. With her new strength and skills, we might see records fall left and right. This isn't just another season. We're about to witness history.